Dr. Kim Nari wiped the sweat from her forehead as she walked across the rocky surface of Kepler 442b. The alien sun cast long shadows between the purple rocks that covered this strange world. She had been walking for 3 hours now, collecting samples for her research. This was her job as a xenobiologist on Research Station Omega-7, and she loved every moment of it. The planet was mostly empty. No big animals lived here, just small creatures that looked like insects and some plant-like things that grew in the cracks between rocks. But today felt different. Her equipment was picking up some unusual readings from a cave system about a mile ahead. Nari checked her oxygen levels and walked toward the cave entrance. The rocks here were different, almost like they were made of glass. They reflected the purple light in beautiful patterns. She turned on her flashlight and stepped into the darkness. The cave was deeper than she expected. Her footsteps echoed off the walls as she moved carefully forward. The readings on her scanner were getting stronger. Something was definitely in here, something her instruments had never detected before. She rounded a corner and stopped. In front of her was a small chamber filled with the most beautiful crystals she had ever seen. They grew from the floor and ceiling like frozen waterfalls. But that was not what made her gasp. Sitting in the center of the chamber was a small creature. It was about the size of a house cat, but it looked like it was made of living crystal. Its body was clear like glass, but inside it, lights moved like tiny stars. The creature turned to look at her, and she saw that it had what looked like eyes, though they were unlike anything she had ever seen. The creature made a soft sound, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The lights inside its body pulsed in rhythm with the sound. Nari felt her heart racing. This was the discovery of a lifetime. She slowly reached for her recording equipment, trying not to scare the creature. But instead of running away, it moved. Closer to her, crystalline being tilted its head, almost like a curious dog. The lights inside it changed color from blue to green to gold. "Hello there," Nari whispered. She felt silly talking to it, but something about the creature made her think it might understand. "I'm not going to hurt you." The creature made another musical sound, and the lights inside it pulsed brighter. It took a step closer, and Nari noticed that it left no footprints on the rocky ground. It seemed to weigh almost nothing. Nari spent the next hour in the cave, watching the creature and taking readings. Her equipment showed that the being was definitely alive, but it was unlike any life form in the databases. Its body seemed to be made of some kind of organic crystal, and the lights inside it might be some form of neural activity. The creature seemed just as curious about her as she was about it. It came close enough to touch her equipment, and when it did, the lights inside it danced faster. It made soft musical sounds that seemed to change based on what it was looking at. When Nari finally decided to leave the cave, the creature followed. She tried to encourage it to stay, but it seemed determined to come with her. It moved with surprising grace, flowing across the rocky ground like water. "I can't take you back to the station," Nari said, though she was talking more to herself than to the creature. "The regulations are very clear about bringing alien life forms into the facility." But the creature kept following her, making its gentle musical sounds. As they walked, Nari noticed that other small creatures on the planet seemed to react to it. The insect-like beings moved out of their path, and the plant-like organisms closed their leaves as they passed by the time they reached the station. Nari had made a decision that would change everything. She contacted Commander Li Wujin, the head of station security, and requested permission to bring the creature inside for study. "Absolutely not," Wujin said over the radio. "You know the protocols, Dr. Kim? No alien life forms are allowed in the station without full decontamination and analysis." "But Commander, this creature is clearly intelligent. It's been following me for hours, and it shows signs of complex behavior. This could be the most important discovery in human history." There was a long pause. "Dr. Kim, bring the creature to the quarantine bay. We'll run full tests before making any decisions." Nari looked down at the crystalline being. It had been listening to the conversation, and somehow she felt like it understood what was happening. The lights inside it had changed to a soft blue color, and it was making very quiet sounds. "It's okay," she said to it. "They just want to make sure you're safe." The quarantine bay was a small room with transparent walls, designed to hold potentially dangerous alien specimens. Nari felt terrible putting the creature in there, but she had no choice. As soon as she left it alone, the creature moved to the wall closest to her and pressed what looked like its face against the glass. Dr. Park Hyun, Nari's research partner, arrived to help with the initial tests. He was a careful scientist who always followed the rules, and he was not happy about the situation. Nari, we can't just bring random alien creatures into the station. What if it's dangerous? What if it carries some kind of disease? Look at it, Hayan, Nari said. Does it look dangerous to you? They both looked at the creature, which was now making soft musical sounds and creating beautiful patterns with the lights inside its body. It seemed to be trying to communicate with them. It's pretty, I'll give you that, Hayan said. But pretty doesn't mean safe. We need to run full biological scans, check for toxins, analyze its behavior patterns. This is going to take weeks. As they talked, the creature moved around its small prison, always staying close to the wall where Nari stood. Every few minutes, it would make its wind chime sounds, and the lights inside it would pulse. It was almost like it was trying to tell them something. That night, Nari couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the creature in the quarantine bay. Something about it felt different from other alien life forms she had studied. It seemed aware in a way that suggested real intelligence, not just instinct. She decided to visit it before starting her official duties the next morning. When she arrived at the quarantine bay, the creature immediately moved to the wall and began making its musical sounds. The lights inside it pulsed in what seemed like a happy pattern. "Good morning," Nari said softly. The creature responded with a series of gentle tones that almost sounded like it was trying to copy her greeting. That's when Nari realized something that would change everything. The creature wasn't just intelligent, it was trying to learn their language. 3 weeks had passed since Nari brought the creature to the station. She had named it Companion because it seemed to want to be near her all the time. Every morning she would find it pressed against the quarantine wall, waiting for her arrival. The lights inside its crystalline body would brighten whenever she entered the room. Dr. Park Hyun was not happy with how much time Nari was spending with the creature. He found her in the quarantine bay again, sitting on the floor and talking to Companion like it was a person. "Nari, you need to step back from this," Hyun said, crossing his arms. "You're getting too attached to the specimen." "It's not a specimen, Hyun. It's intelligent. Look how it responds to different words." Nari pointed to Companion, who was making soft musical sounds. "When I say hello, it makes that specific tone. When I say goodbye, it makes it different. Sound entirely." Hyun watched as Nari spoke to the creature. It did seem to respond to her words, but he was worried about his friend's behavior. She had always been passionate about her work, but this was different. She was spending 12 hours a day with the creature, barely eating or sleeping. "Even if it is intelligent, we still don't know if it's safe," Hyun said. "The biological tests show it doesn't carry any diseases, but we don't understand its true nature. What if it's dangerous?" Nari stood up and faced him. "Dangerous, Hyun? Look at it. It's gentle and curious. It's never shown any aggressive behavior." Commander Lee Woojin entered the room, carrying a data tablet. He had been reviewing the test results and the security footage from the quarantine. What he saw worried him. "Dr. Kim, we need to talk," Woojin said in his serious military voice. "I've been watching the security recordings. You're talking to that thing like it's your pet, because it is responding to me," Nari said. "Commander, this creature is trying to communicate with us. Yesterday, it started making sounds that were almost like words. I think it's learning our language." Woojin looked at the creature, which was now making its wind chime sounds and creating light patterns inside its body. He had to admit it was beautiful, but he was responsible for the safety of everyone on the station. "Dr. Kim, I'm concerned about your mental state. You're spending too much time with this creature. The other staff members are starting to worry." "What do you mean?" Nari asked. "You missed 3 meals yesterday? You fell asleep in the lab. Dr. Park says you're not focusing on your other research projects. This obsession with the creature is affecting your work." Nari felt frustrated. Nobody seemed to understand what she was experiencing with Companion. The creature was not just an animal or a simple life form. It was something special, something that could change how humans understood intelligence in the universe. That evening, Nerys sat in the station's small cafeteria with Dr. Song Mina, the station's communications officer. Song was one of the few people who still treated Nari normally. "Everyone thinks I'm losing my mind," Nari said quietly. "But I know what I'm seeing. That creature's trying to tell us something." Song looked at her friend with concern. "Nari, maybe you should take a break from the creature for a few days. You look exhausted. I can't abandon it now. It's starting to trust me, and I think it's worried about something." "Worried? What do you mean?" Nari pushed her food around on her plate. "For the past few days, its behavior has been different. Lights inside it pulse faster, and it makes more urgent sounds. It keeps looking toward the outer walls of the station, like it's listening for something." Song frowned. That could just be normal behavior for its species. We don't know anything about how these creatures normally act. But Nari was convinced that something was wrong. Companion had been trying to show her something, creating complex light patterns that seemed to represent star systems. The creature would point toward the outer walls and make worried sounds. The next morning, Nari found Dr. Park Hyun waiting for her outside the quarantine bay. "Nari, I've been thinking about what you said yesterday, about the creature learning our language. You believe me now? I want to run some tests. If it really is learning, we should be able to measure that scientifically." They spent the morning running language tests with Companion. The creature showed clear signs of understanding, basic words, and even tried to copy some simple sounds. But what worried Nari was that Companion seemed distracted, kept looking toward the outer walls, and making anxious sounds. "Something is bothering it," Nari said. "It's been acting strange for days. Maybe it's just reacting to being in captivity," Hyun suggested. "Wild animals often become stressed when they're confined." But Nari knew it was more than that. Companion had been trying to show her something with its light patterns. The patterns looked like star maps, and they seemed to indicate movement from the outer system toward their planet. That afternoon, Commander Woojin called a meeting with the senior staff. He was concerned about Nari's behavior and wanted to discuss what to do about the creature. "Dr. Kim has become emotionally attached to the alien specimen," Woojin said. "She's spending all her time with it. She's starting to claim it's trying to communicate warnings about some kind of danger." "What kind of danger?" It's Dr. Lee Juwoo, the station's chief scientist. "She thinks it's warning us about something in space. She says it's been creating light patterns that look like star maps." Dr. Lee shook his head. "That's clearly a sign of psychological stress. Isolation can cause people to see patterns where none exist. I think we need to consider removing Dr. Kim from the project," Woojin said, "for her own mental health." But Dr. Song Mina spoke up. "Commander, what if she's right? What if the creature is trying to tell us something important?" "Can't be serious," Dr. Lee said. "We're talking about a small alien creature that probably has the intelligence of a dog at best." Meanwhile, Nari was in the quarantine bay with Companion. The creature was more agitated than ever, its lights pulsing rapidly, and its sounds becoming more urgent. It kept creating the same star map pattern over and over, showing movement from the outer system. "I know you're trying to tell me something," Nari whispered, "but I don't know how to help you." Companion moved closer to the wall and pressed its crystalline form against the glass. For a moment, the lights inside it formed a clear image of their solar system, with multiple objects moving toward the inner planets. Nari felt a chill run down her spine. The creature was not just making random patterns. It was showing her a specific threat, something coming from deep space toward their world. She ran to the communication console and tried to contact the long-range sensors. But her access had been restricted. Commander Woojin had limited her clearance. Because of concerns about her mental state, that night Nari couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Companion's warnings and the star map patterns. If the creature was really trying to warn them about something, and nobody would listen to her, what would happen when that something arrived? She decided to sneak back to the quarantine bay one more time. When she arrived, she found Companion in an extremely agitated state. The creature was making rapid, urgent sounds, and its lights were flashing in bright, alarming patterns. "What is it?" Nari asked. "What are you trying to tell me?" Companion created the star map pattern again, but this time the moving objects were much closer to their planet. The creature was trying to tell her that whatever was coming, it was almost here, Nari realized with growing horror that her colleagues were wrong. She was not losing her mind. Companion was trying to save them all. The next morning, Nari woke up with a terrible feeling in her chest. She had barely slept, thinking about Companion's urgent warnings. The creature had been trying to tell her something important for days, but nobody would listen to her. She rushed to the quarantine bay and found Companion in the worst state she had ever seen. The creature was moving frantically around its small prison, making sharp, worried sounds. The lights inside its crystalline body were flashing red and orange, colors she had never seen before. "What's wrong?" Addie asked, pressing her hand against the glass wall. "What are you trying to tell me?" Companion immediately moved to where her hand was and began creating the star map pattern again. But this time, the moving objects in the pattern were much closer to their planet. The creature was showing her that whatever was coming would arrive very soon. Nari ran to find Dr. Park Hyun. She found him in the main laboratory, working on routine experiments. "Hyun, you have to help me," she said breathlessly. "Something is wrong." Companion is more agitated than ever. "I think we're in danger." Hyun looked at his friend with concern. Nari looked terrible. She had dark circles under her eyes and her hands were shaking. "Nari, you need to rest. You're making yourself sick over this creature." "No, you don't understand. It's trying to warn us about something. The star maps it's been showing me indicate movement from the outer system. What if it's detecting something our sensors can't pick up?" High inside. "Even if that were true, we don't have access to the long-range sensors. Only Commander Wu Zhen and the senior staff can check those systems." "Then we need to convince them to look," Nari said. What if I'm right? What if something really is coming?" Dr. Park Hyun had known Nari for 3 years. She was one of the smartest people he had ever met, but her behavior over the past weeks had been very concerning. Still, something in her voice made him pause. "All right," he said finally. "Let's go talk to Commander Wu Jin. But if the sensors show nothing, you have to promise me you'll take a break from the creature." They found Commander Wu Jin in the command center, reviewing station reports. He looked up when they entered, and his expression was not friendly. "Dr. Kim, you're supposed to be on restricted duty. Shouldn't be in the command center." "Commander, please listen to me," Nari said. "I believe the creature is trying to warn us about an approaching threat. Could you check the long-range sensors for any unusual activity in the outer system?" Wu Jin exchanged a look with Dr. Park Hyun. "Dr. Kim, this obsession with the creature has gone too far. You're seeing danger where none exists. Please, just check the sensors. If there's nothing there, I'll accept that I was wrong." Commander Wu Jin was about to refuse when Dr. Song Mina spoke up from her communications station. "Commander, it wouldn't hurt to run a quick scan. If it makes Dr. Kim feel better, and if there's nothing there, maybe she'll finally rest." Wu Jin thought about it for a moment. "Fine, but this is the last time we're entertaining these paranoid ideas." He turned to his sensor operator. "Full spectrum scan of the outer system. Check for any unusual objects or energy signatures." The operator began working at his console. After a few minutes, he looked up with a puzzled expression. "Commander, I'm getting some strange readings. There are several objects in the outer system that weren't there yesterday." "What kind of objects?" Wu Jin asked, suddenly more interested. "They're too far away to identify clearly, but they're big. And they're moving toward the inner system." Nari felt her heart racing. "How many objects?" "I count at least 12, possibly more. They're moving in formation, like they're working together." Commander Wu Jin's expression changed completely. "Could they be asteroids?" "No, sir. Asteroids don't move in perfect formation. These objects are accelerating." The command center fell silent. Everyone was starting to realize that Dr. Kim might not be as crazy as they thought. "How long until they reach our planet?" Wu Jin asked. "At their current speed, approximately 18 hours. Nari felt a mixture of relief and terror. Relief that she was finally being taken seriously, and terror because Companion's warnings were real. Something was coming, and they were not prepared. "We need to contact Earth immediately," Wu Jin said. "This could be first contact with an alien species." Commander Dr. Song Mina said from her communications station. "I'm trying to reach Earth, but I'm getting interference. Something is blocking our long-range communications." "Could the approaching objects be causing the interference?" Heian asked. "It's possible," Song replied. but this level of interference suggests it's intentional. Someone or something doesn't want us to communicate with Earth? Nari's mind was racing. She needed to get back to Companion. If the creature had been trying to warn them about this threat, maybe it knew more about what was coming. "Commander, I need to return to the quarantine bay," she said. If Companion predicted this, it might be able to tell us more about these objects. "Dr. Kim, even if the creature somehow detected these objects, it's still just an animal. It can't tell us about their intentions. But it's been trying to communicate with us for weeks. Maybe it knows something we don't." Wu Jin was torn. On one hand, he still thought Nari was too emotionally attached to the creature. On the other hand, she had been right about the approaching threat. "Fine," he said finally. "But Dr. Park will go with you, and I want reports every hour." Nari and Hayan hurried back to the quarantine bay. When they arrived, they found Companion in an even more agitated state. The creature was making rapid, urgent sounds and creating complex light patterns that seemed to pulse with increasing intensity. "It knows something is happening," Nari said. "Look at how it's behaving." Companion suddenly stopped moving and created a new pattern with its lights. This time, the pattern showed the approaching objects surrounding their planet, but it also showed something else. The objects were not just moving toward the planet they were preparing to attack. "Hyun, look at this pattern," Nari said. "It's showing us that these objects are hostile. They're not here for peaceful contact." Hayan studied the light patterns. He had to admit they were remarkably detailed and seemed to show specific tactical movements. "Even if you're right, how could this creature know about military tactics?" he asked. Before Nari could answer, the station's alarm system activated. Commander Wujin's voice came over the intercom. "All personnel to emergency stations. The approaching objects have changed course and are now moving directly toward our planet. Estimated arrival time is now 6 hours. Nari felt her blood turn cold. She looked at Companion, who was now glowing with an intense light she had never seen before. "It's not just warning us," she whispered. "It's preparing for what's coming." The lights inside Companion's crystalline body began to pulse in a rhythm that seemed almost like a heartbeat. The creature was no longer making gentle musical sounds. Instead, it was producing deep, resonant tones that seemed to vibrate through the station's walls. "Nari, what's happening to it?" Hyun asked nervously. She pressed her hand against the glass wall, and Companion moved to meet her touch. For a moment, the creature's lights dimmed, and in that brief quiet, Nari thought she heard something that chilled her to the bone. In the distance, almost too faint to hear, was the sound of other creatures answering Companion's call. The call was coming from deep space, and it was getting closer. "We're not alone," Nari whispered, "and neither is Companion." The war for humanity was about to begin. The small creature they had thought was just a pet was about to reveal its true nature. The station shook as the first enemy ships entered the planet's atmosphere. Commander Wuzhan's voice echoed through the corridors as he ordered all personnel to emergency positions. But Nari could not leave Companion. The creature was undergoing changes that she had never seen before. The small crystalline being was growing larger. Its body, which had been the size of a house cat, was now expanding to fill nearly half of the quarantine chamber. The lights inside it were no longer gentle pulses, but bright, constant streams of energy that moved like liquid lightning. "Nari, we need to get to the shelters," Dr. Park Hyun said urgently. "The enemy ships are getting closer. Can't leave." Nari replied, watching in amazement as Companion continued to transform. "Something incredible is happening." Companion's crystalline form began to shift and change. Parts of its body became transparent, revealing complex internal structures that looked like nothing Nari had ever seen. It was not just a simple creature. It was technology, but technology that was alive. Suddenly, Companion spoke, not in its usual musical tones, but in clear, perfect human language. "Dr. Kim Nari," it said, its voice coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for believing in me when others could not." Nari's mouth dropped open. "You can talk. You could always talk." "I could always understand," Companion replied. "But I needed time to learn your ways of speaking. I needed to know if your species could be trusted." Trusted with what? Companion's form continued to grow and change. Now it was as tall as a person, and its crystalline body was creating complex geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. I am what you might call a guardian, it explained. My species has watched over developing civilizations for millions of years. We protect those who show promise, those who demonstrate wisdom and compassion. Dr. Parkyun stepped closer, his fear replaced by wonder. You're not from this planet at all. No. I came here because we detected a threat approaching this system. The Vorthok are coming, and they destroy everything in their path. The station shook again, more violently this time. Through the windows, they could see large, dark ships descending from the sky. They were massive, each one bigger than the entire research station. The Vorthok companion continued, have destroyed hundreds of worlds. They take what they want and leave nothing behind. They were coming for your planet, and I was sent to evaluate whether humanity was worth saving. And what did you decide? Nari asked. Companion's lights pulsed warmly. You showed me kindness when you could have shown fear. You treated me as a friend when others saw only a specimen. You tried to understand me when others dismissed me as simple. Your species has great potential. The quarantine chamber began to crack as Companion's form expanded beyond its limits. But instead of breaking free destructively, the creature seemed to dissolve the walls harmlessly, freeing itself without causing damage. Now I will show you what a guardian can do, it said. Companion's crystalline form began to flow like water, spreading across the floor and up the walls. But instead of being frightening, it was beautiful. The creature was integrating itself with the station's systems, connecting to every computer, every sensor, every piece of equipment. I am linking with your technology, Companion explained. Your weapons and defenses are primitive, but I can enhance them. I can make them strong enough to fight the Vorthok. Commander Wujan's voice came over the intercom again. All personnel, we have enemy ships landing on the surface. Prepare for ground assault. But as he spoke, the station's lights began to change. Instead of the usual white illumination, everything began to glow with the same warm light that came from Companion's body. The walls themselves seemed to come alive with energy. What's happening? Yoon asked. I am awakening your station, Companion replied. Your technology is more compatible with ours than you realize. Humanity builds with logic and purpose, just as we do. This makes integration possible. Nari watched in amazement as the station transformed around them. The walls became transparent, showing them everything that was happening outside. Enemy soldiers were moving across the rocky surface, heading toward the station's main entrance. Main your weapons systems, Companion said suddenly. Nari could see the station's defensive systems in her mind. She could feel every weapon, every shield, every piece of equipment, as if it were part of her own body. The sensation was overwhelming, but not frightening. How are you doing this? She asked. I have connected you to the station's new consciousness. Companion explained. You are now part of the network. You can help me coordinate our defenses. Through the network, Nari could see the enemy forces clearly. The Vorthok were large, armored creatures that moved with military precision. It had advanced weapons and seemed confident that they could take the station easily. They were wrong. Under Companion's guidance, the station's defenses came online, with power that exceeded anything humans had ever created. Energy barriers formed around the facility, and weapons that had been designed for mining operations were transformed into devastating defensive systems. Dr. Kim, Commander Woojan said, appearing in the corridor. What's happening to the station? Our systems are showing power levels that should be impossible. Commander, meet our guardian, Nari said, gesturing to the glowing walls around them. Companion has been protecting us all along. Wujin looked around in shock as the station's systems displayed information in ways he had never seen before. Tactical displays showed enemy positions with perfect accuracy, and defensive systems were operating at efficiency levels that broke all known laws of physics. This is the creature you found? He asked. This is what the creature really is, Nari replied, and it's been waiting to see if humanity was worth saving. Through the network, they could feel Companion's presence, like a warm, protective embrace. The Guardian was not just upgrading their technology, it was sharing its knowledge, its wisdom, and its strength. The Vorthok expected to find a helpless research station, Companion said. Instead, they have found a Guardian-protected facility. They will learn that humanity is not as defenseless as they believed. Outside, the enemy forces were beginning their assault. But for the first time since the attack began, Nari felt hope. They were not alone, and they were not helpless. The real battle was about to begin. The first wave of Vorthok soldiers reached the station's outer defenses and immediately realized they had made a terrible mistake. The simple research facility they had expected to easily overcome was now protected by technology far beyond there. Understanding energy barriers shimmered around the station like walls of solid light. When the enemy weapons fired at these barriers, their shots were absorbed and converted into power for the station's defensive systems. The more the Vorthok attacked, the stronger the defenses became. Impossible, Dr. Parkan whispered as he watched the battle through the station's new displays. Our shields are getting stronger from their attacks. Guardian technology learns and adapts, Companion explained through the network. Every attack teaches us how to defend better. The Vorthok cannot win through force alone. Commander Wujin was coordinating the defense from the command center, but he was having trouble understanding the new systems. The displays showed information in ways that human technology had never been able to process. Dr. Kim? He called over the intercom. I need you in the command center. You seem to understand these systems better than anyone. Nari made her way to the command center, feeling Companion's presence, guiding her through the station's corridors. The walls around her pulsed with energy. She could sense the Guardian's consciousness throughout the facility. When she arrived, she found the command staff staring at displays that showed the battle in perfect detail. Every enemy soldier was tracked, every weapon was identified, and every tactical movement was predicted before it happened. How is this possible? Commander Wujin asked. Companion is not just enhancing our technology, Nari explained. It's teaching us to think like Guardians. Can see the battle the way they do. Through the network, she could feel the approach of more enemy ships. The Vorthok were sending reinforcements, but they were also sending something else. Something that made Companion's presence in the network suddenly feel worried. What is it? Nari asked. The Vorthok have brought a destroyer, Companion replied. It is a ship designed specifically to fight Guardians. They have encountered us before. Can we defeat it? Not alone? But we are not alone. Suddenly, the space around the planet filled with new lights. Ships were appearing from hyperspace, but these were not Vorthok vessels. They were sleek, crystalline craft that looked like they were made of the same material as Companion's body. My people have arrived, Companion announced. It's the Guardian. Fleet has come to protect this system. The battle in space began immediately. The Guardian ships moved with incredible speed and precision. Engaging the Vorthok fleet in combat, that was beautiful and terrifying to watch. Energy beams crossed the darkness between ships, and explosions lit up the planet's sky. But the real battle was still happening on the surface. The Vorthok ground forces were determined to capture the research station, and they were bringing heavy weapons to bear against the enhanced defenses. We need to coordinate with the Guardian fleet, Nari said. Can you connect us to their commanders? Already done, Companion replied. You're now part of the larger network. You can communicate with any Guardian in the system. Suddenly, Nair's mind was filled with voices. Not human voices, but Guardian consciousness that spoke in concepts, and emotions rather than words. She could feel their thoughts, their strategies, their determination to protect the humans below. They want to know about human combat capabilities, she said to Commander Wujin. They're asking what we can contribute to the battle. What can we tell them? Wujin asked. Our weapons are primitive compared to theirs, but our tactics are not, Nari realized. Humans think about combat differently than Guardians do. We can show them strategies they haven't considered. Through the network, she began sharing human military knowledge with the Guardian fleet. She showed them how humans use deception, misdirection, and psychological warfare. The Guardians were fascinated by concepts like ambush tactics and feints. Species thinks in ways we do not, one of the Guardian commanders communicated. This is valuable. We will learn from your methods. The combined human-guardian strategy began to work. The Vorthok had expected to fight either primitive humans or traditional guardians. They were not prepared for the combination of guardian technology and human tactical thinking. On the surface, the enemy forces found themselves facing defenses that seemed to predict their every move. The station's weapons would fire at empty locations only to hit enemy soldiers who arrived there moments later. It was as if the defenders could see the future. How are they doing this? Dr. Songmina asked from her communications station. Human intuition combined with guardian computational power, Nari explained. We can feel what the enemy is going to do before they do it. The battle turned decisively in their favor when Captain Songmina, who had been monitoring communications, arrived with the evacuation fleet. But instead of evacuating the station, she found herself coordinating a counterattack. This is Captain Songmina of the evacuation fleet, she announced over the radio. We came to rescue you, but it looks like you're winning the battle. Captain, we need you to coordinate with the Guardian fleet, Nari replied. Your ships can provide support for their operations. Are you telling me to give orders to alien warships? Song asked. I'm telling you to work with our allies, Nari said. The Guardians respect human tactical thinking. They want to learn from us. Captain Song found herself commanding a combined human-guardian task force. Her evacuation ships, equipped with mining lasers and cargo transporters, became support vessels. For the Guardian fleet, they used their industrial equipment in ways it was never designed for, creating new weapons and tactics that surprised the Vorthok, the enemy's destroyer ship. Their most powerful weapon found itself facing not just Guardian technology, but human creativity. The human crews used their ships to create interference patterns that disrupted the destroyer's weapons, while the Guardian vessels attacked from unexpected angles. The destroyer is retreating, Captain Song reported. The entire Vorthok fleet is pulling back. The victory was not complete. The enemy ground forces were still fighting. Their commander was making one final desperate attempt to capture the research station. They're bringing their heavy assault vehicles, Commander Woojin reported. These are designed to break through any defense. Then we will show them what Guardian defenses can really do, Companion said. The station's final transformation began. The entire facility lifted off the ground, supported by Guardian technology that turned it into a flying fortress. The rocky surface of the planet fell away below them as they rose into the sky. We are no longer a research station, Companion announced. We are a Guardian outpost, protected by the combined strength of two species, the remaining Vorthok forces. Looked up in shock as their target disappeared into the sky. Their weapons could not reach the flying station, and their assault vehicles were useless against an enemy that was no longer on the ground. This is impossible, the Vorthok commander transmitted on an open channel. No species has ever combined their technology with Guardian systems. Then you have learned something new today, Nari replied over the communication system. Humanity is not like the other species you have conquered. The Vorthok fleet retreated from the system, their invasion force broken, and their confidence shattered. For the first time in their history, they had been defeated by a species they had considered primitive. As the battle ended, Nari stood in the command center of their transformed station, feeling the presence of Companion and the Guardian network around her. They had won, but more importantly, they had proven that humans and Guardians could work together. What happens now? She asked. Now, Companion replied. We begin a new chapter in the history of both our species. 3 days after the battle, the research station floated peacefully in orbit around the planet. The transformation was complete, and what had once been a simple human facility was now something entirely new. It was a bridge between two species, a place where human and Guardian technology worked together in perfect harmony. Dr. Kim Nari stood in what had been the quarantine bay. It was now a beautiful, crystalline chamber where she could speak directly with Companion. The Guardian had returned to a more familiar size, though it retained the ability to expand throughout the station when needed. I still can't believe this is real, she said, watching the lights dance inside Companion's crystalline form. A week ago, everyone thought I was losing my mind. You were the first human to truly see me, Companion replied. its voice now a comfortable presence in her mind. Your kindness and understanding made this alliance possible. Commander Wujin entered the chamber, carrying a data tablet with messages. From Earth, the long-range communications had been restored, and the response from human leadership was exactly what they had expected. Earth wants to know everything, he said. They're sending a diplomatic team, and they want full reports on Guardian technology. They want to study us, Companion observed. We expected this response. But they also want to offer something in return, Wujin continued. The Earth Defense Force is proposing a formal alliance. They want to share human military tactics and strategies with the Guardian fleet. Nari smiled. The same tactics that helped us win the battle? The Guardian Council is very interested in this proposal, Companion said. Human tactical thinking is unlike anything we have encountered. You approach problems in ways that surprise even us. Dr. Park Hyun appeared in the doorway, looking much more relaxed than he had in weeks. The stress of the invasion was gone, replaced by excitement about the scientific possibilities ahead. Nari, you need to see this, he said. The Guardian fleet has been sharing their scientific databases with us. Medical knowledge alone could cure diseases we've been fighting for centuries. And in return, we're sharing our research methods with them, Nari replied. They're fascinated by human creativity and intuition. It was true. The Guardians had incredible technology, but they approached problems with pure logic and calculation. Human scientists, with their tendency to make intuitive leaps and creative connections, provided a new way of thinking that complemented Guardian methods perfectly. Captain Song-mina contacted them from her flagship, which was now serving as a coordination center for the combined human Guardian fleet. Dr. Kim, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy, she said over the communication system. The Vorthok have been defeated in 3 other systems this week. Word is spreading that they can be beaten, Guardian Council is calling it. The human factor, Companion explained. Your species has shown other civilizations that the Vorthok are not invincible. Many worlds that had given up hope are now preparing to fight back. This was the most important victory of all. The Vorthok had conquered so many worlds because their enemies had believed they could not be defeated. But humanity had proven that the right combination of technology and tactics could overcome even the most powerful enemy. We're receiving a message from Admiral Kong Tai-ho, Captain Song reported. He's leading the Earth Defense Force delegation. They'll arrive next week. Will you tell them? Nari asked a companion. The truth, the Guardian replied. That humanity has passed our test. Your species shows the qualities we look for in our allies. Compassion, creativity, determination, and the ability to see beyond your own interests. And what does that mean? For our future. Companion's lights pulsed with what Nari had learned was the Guardian equivalent of a smile. It means you are no longer alone in the galaxy. The Guardian Council has voted to offer humanity full membership in the Alliance of Tians, protected species. The Alliance was something humans had never imagined. It was a network of civilizations that had been judged worthy of Guardian protection. Species that had proven they could be trusted with advanced technology and the responsibility that came with it. There are over 2,000 species in the Alliance, Companion continued. Each one contributes something unique to our shared knowledge and capabilities. Humanity will bring tactical thinking and creative problem-solving that we have never seen before. And what do we receive in return? Commander Wujin asked. Protection from species like the Vorthok. It's access to Guardian technology and scientific knowledge. The ability to explore the galaxy safely. And most importantly, the knowledge that you are part of something greater than any single world. Dr. Song-mina appeared on the communication screen with an update from the Guardian fleet. The Vorthok have sent a message requesting a ceasefire. They want to negotiate. What will the Guardian Council tell them? Nari asked. That they must deal with the Alliance as a whole, Companion replied. Humanity is now a full member, and any negotiations must include human representatives. This was perhaps the most significant moment in human history. Humanity was not just being protected by a more advanced species. They were being invited to join a galactic community as equals, with their own unique contributions to offer. Dr. Kim, Commander Wujin, said, the Guardian Council has made a specific request. They want you to serve as the first human ambassador to the Alliance. Nari felt her heart skip a beat. Me, but I'm just a xenobiologist. You are the human who first recognized what I truly was, Companion said. You showed kindness when others showed suspicion. You believed in communication when others saw only a specimen. You are the ideal choice to represent your species. You won't be alone, Dr. Park Hyun added. They're creating a new research institute, a place where human and guardian scientists can work together. We'll be studying the galaxy together, learning from each other. Captain Song Mina smiled from the communication screen. The evacuation fleet is being converted into an exploration fleet. We'll be visiting Alliance worlds, establishing diplomatic relations, and showing the galaxy what humanity has to offer. A week ago, they had been isolated researchers on a distant planet. Now they were part of something that spanned the entire galaxy. What about our world? She asked. What happens to Earth? Earth will become a guardian-protected world, Companion explained. No species will be allowed to threaten your home planet. And Earth will serve as a training center where human and guardian methods can be studied and combined. The best of both worlds, Nari said. Best of all worlds, Companion corrected. The Alliance includes species with abilities and knowledge that even we Guardians find remarkable. You will learn from all of them, and they will learn from you. As Nari looked out at the stars through the station's transparent walls, she realized that her simple discovery of a small crystalline creature had changed the course of human history. The creature she had thought was a pet had turned out to be humanity's gateway to the stars. Thank you, she said to Companion, for choosing us, for believing in us. Thank you, Companion replied, for showing me that humanity was worth believing in. The research station continued its orbit around the planet, but it was no longer just a human facility. It was a symbol of what could be achieved when species work together, combining their unique strengths to create something greater than either could accomplish alone. And in the vast network of the Alliance, spreading across thousands of worlds and countless species, the message was clear. Humanity had arrived. The galaxy would never be the same. The war was over, but the real adventure was just beginning.